Alright guys, we all know what this is about, or we should all know. This weekend is the I Heart StarCraft celebration as announced by Blizzard Entertainment. It coincides with the GSL Finals featuring Cyan stats. It's an interesting point of discussion because a lot of people are speculating that the I Heart StarCraft event will be the announcement of a Broodwar HD Remastered remake. Some of the evidence that this will be announced, some of the supporting evidence, is the idea that the I Heart StarCraft event will feature show matches from 4 of the greatest StarCraft players of all time, Jaedong, Bisu, Stork, and Flash. It's kind of a mini tournament. It's less show matches than it is a miniature tournament, with just 2 games, or 2 matches to start with, and the winner of each of those matches facing off in kind of a grand finals aspect. There's going to be Broodwar at this event, and Mike Morhaime is there in attendance, so, like, something will be announced, I'm pretty sure. Like, come on. If Mike Morhaime's there, something will probably be announced. It's just whether or not it'll be a Broodwar Remastered, you know? And I am of the opinion that it will not be, honestly. I would love it if there was no Broodwar HD announcement. Daedalus. Why the troll would be perfect. Okay, yeah, I agree. If it does happen, Dank Shrine would need to be StarCraft 2 and Broodwar show. Why? Probably because you're so Korean focused, I guess. I have no intention. I guess I shouldn't say that. I don't have. I don't expect that it will be a Broodwar HD announcement here for a couple different reasons. But if it was, I don't personally think that I'll be doing a lot of Broodwar HD content because I don't think it'll pick up in the West, or not the West, but like the foreign scene, and that's really where I do most of my stuff. Like, I don't do a whole lot of work talking to the Korean pros or the Korean personalities because I don't speak Korean and I don't really have access to a translator. I have a little bit of access to a translator, but Mike has gone out for random events. That's true. That's a good point. But I feel like the framing of the I Heart StarCraft or the community event, and it was announced pretty late too. Like, this was announced just last week, late last week. This was announced Friday. That's very late. Feels kind of sudden, if you know. I don't know. So I don't think that this will be a Broodwar HD or remastered announcement. And I think we talked about this last week, but I'm going to just restate. I don't know that people that find SC2 inaccessible will find Broodwar any more appealing. Exactly, indeed. They won't. So, like ignoring the actual game itself, if they remastered Broodwar, it would be a pretty large undertaking, and it would be pretty big news. Like, lots of casual people who played StarCraft in the 90s for, like, campaign and big game hunters, they would buy that, right? Why wouldn't they announce such a project at BlizzCon? Because well, okay, let's pretend that the early rumors have 0 credibility, but if they're remastering Broodwar, it makes sense that they would be remastering, like, Diablo 2. Like, Diablo 2 is probably a bigger game than Broodwar, right? I don't know. Maybe not. We looked it up last week, and Broodwar was actually, like, 4th best-selling PC game of all time. I don't know. But, like, if you're going to remaster one of your retro games, I don't know, do your other big ones, too. Do Warcraft 3 and Diablo 2, right? But why wouldn't they announce such a thing at BlizzCon and use, like, one of the biggest gaming conventions in the world as their platform for marketing? And now this is supposed to be the announcement for Broodwar HD, and it comes out in, like, May or June? That doesn't sound plausible to me. Like, that's very little time to build a marketing hype train. You want that shit announced, like, like, reasonably ahead of time, right? That would only be a good argument if the reason why these people think SC2 is inaccessible is worse than Broodwar. We don't really know if that is the case, though. We don't know what the majority of factors are. That's fair. Don't get me wrong, I like Broodwar a lot, but SC2 made it playable enough for me to actually compete against people. I'm saying that it's focused mostly on Koreans. I mean, we talked about this Heart Revenge. I really don't like that argument. I really don't like that idea. I would assume they want to invest their marketing into Heroes and Overwatch than SC2. I don't know, man. The question I was referring to was about it being big in the West. So the idea that they would do it to focus on Korea is just like I think it would be wrong. So if you're gonna remaster a game, that takes a lot of development time. That takes a lot of money. It's a big effort, right? Especially if you're gonna do it right, quote unquote, and port over all of the bugs and intricacies that Broodwar has. So that's a big undertaking. If you're doing that for one region, then that region had better be like the ultimate payday for you. Like there must be such a security in your decision making, right? To have that kind of confidence to be like, well, we don't really care about the rest of the world so much. We know that this one country will support the product enough for this to be worthwhile for us to do, to undertake this project. Right now, in South Korea, StarCraft 2 and StarCraft Broodwar have existed for just years, right? StarCraft Broodwar has existed for a very long time and is still relatively popular. It is experiencing somewhat of a revival right now, but League of Legends is still the biggest game in that region by a landslide, and it is enormous. And Overwatch is Blizzard's big push to get that region under lock in the Blizzard brand. Overwatch is their big thing for Korea and the world. I don't see... I wouldn't understand it being worthwhile for them to produce a whole game, to remaster a whole game, just for South Korea, because South Korea will give them that much money. Like, that's such an insecure is not the right word. That's such a shaky foundation for your idea. And I don't even think that's true, right? Like, lots of casual gaming fans from yesteryear will absolutely buy Broodwar HD. Of course they will. So, like, from the stance of Blizzard, I don't understand why they would undertake a project that's like, okay, well, here's lots of money for something that will only really succeed in one region. And I don't understand why they would think it would only succeed in one region in the first place. Like, we looked it up... we didn't look it up on stream. We looked it up in my Discord, right. So, let's look it up again. So, Minecraft, World of Warcraft, Diablo 3, Counter-Strike, The Sims, StarCraft 1 at 11 million copies, coming in at number 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So, if StarCraft sold 11 million copies worldwide and is the 6th most popular selling video game of all time, I really, 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 really don't like the argument that StarCraft Broodwar HD Remastered is only banking on success in South Korea, because that doesn't make sense. Why would they only bank on success in South Korea if it's the 6th most selling game of all time in the world? It doesn't make any sense, in my opinion. And look, there's Wings of Liberty, guys. We're in there. We in there, kind of. What else is in here? And there's Warcraft 3. Where's Diablo 2, actually? Diablo 2 is there with 4 million. Wow. That's a big discrepancy. Warcraft 3 with 3 million. These seem like very low numbers, honestly. I don't know. I just feel like these are low numbers. But, you know, that's me. But how many of those copies were sold in the past 10 years versus the first few? Oh, we all know the vast majority of those copies are sold in the first few years. Absolutely. Focusing the competitive side of StarCraft on Korea. Yeah, but I don't think they give a shit about the competitive side. Like, do you think Do you think that Blizzard will sponsor a like WCS type thing for Brood War? Specifically in South Korea, like not for the rest of the world, but do you think that they'll run like a developer sponsored league for Brood War in South Korea? Because I don't at all. I really, really, really don't. And when you talk about esports is at this point in time, it's a way to push your product further. So for companies, right, the esports aspect, the esports aspect of things, is a way for them to further push their game, to drive exposure for their game, and hopefully the player base will increase, right? With StarCraft 2, in 2017, there's a goal now for them. Like if they drive player interest and if they increase the player base at all, then with the inclusion of microtransactions like the war chest or the skins or DLC, like with the co-op characters and the Nova expansion, right? Esports brings people in who might pay for those things, right? As well as the base game itself. Don't doubt Mike Morheim. Papa bless. Indeed. But with StarCraft Broodwar, right? Unless you're going to do a ton of microtransactions, which I'm pretty sure would make a lot of Broodwar fans very unhappy. And unless you're going to have a campaign expansion, which would be very strange considering that StarCraft 2 exists, right? Then there's not a lot of ways to drive additional revenue beyond selling, like, this is the copy of the game, here it is. And granted, that's relevant, you know, like if you run esports tournaments to sell the copy of your game, like, okay. But I don't think they will do that. I just don't see it happening myself, honestly, personally, right? Blizzard has always been relatively classy about how it cannibalizes its own player base. There's nothing inherently wrong with them remastering Brood War. Worst case scenario is that the current Brood War players all pick it up and run with it. Sure, no, I'm not objectively opposed to Brood War being remastered. I just don't think it is. Not this year, right? Yeah, maybe I should be more clear. I'm not opposed to Brood War being remastered. I'm not opposed to Brood War HD in any way, shape, or form. I just don't think that's what's happening. And I'm basing that opinion on what I see around me. And some of that is, like, problems with the current Brood War environment, the current Brood War scene. But it's not just... It's not me saying I don't like Brood War. I don't think it should be remastered, right? I think it should, honestly. When the first rumors started in the fall or the summer, I was actually really excited because I can't play Brood War, guys. I can't look at it. Oh my god, it's so hard. It looks like such shit, man. But I would try it out. You know, I would try it out at least with retextured graphics for the new millennia. And Diablo 2, man, I would definitely play Diablo 2. I've never played a Diablo game, actually. I have friends that wax on and on about Diablo 2. I would love that game to be remastered. And Warcraft 3, same thing, you know? I just don't think it's happening, based on what we see. I don't think it would be bad, but I don't think that it happens. I don't think it is happening. That's my stance. I'm also of the opinion that it would be a bit of a social faux pas to announce Brood War being remastered at the precipice of the GSL StarCraft 2 Finals. It's something about that just rubs me the wrong way. I don't know, man. It's a step backwards, you know? Alright, so if nobody has anything further to say on... So I said this in my Discord, and I'll say it here too. I'll say it publicly, alright? I don't think that StarCraft Broodwar Remastered HD will be announced this weekend. I don't think it's going to happen. And I think this so much that if they do announce it, I will stream my League of Legends placement matches for this season. Solo queue, alright? Maybe not solo queue. Maybe we won't go too hard. I will stream my League of Legends placement matches, okay? This is how far I'm willing to go, alright? I don't like League of Legends. If they announce Broodwar HD, I will stream League of Legends on this Twitch channel. Nobody's going to watch, too. That's the big thing. None of you's going to watch that. It will be personal sacrifice. If it's not announced, I will sub to your Patreon. Aw. The sad thing is that you're not already subbing to my Patreon. Exclamation point Patreon in chat. Yep. If Broodwar HD is a thing, I hope it does well. I hope it does well too, yeah. Absolutely. I think that there's a lot of room for StarCraft to, like, grow still, you know? I mean, fuck. I didn't give up the idea that StarCraft 2 could still be the #1 esport until the end of 2015. And I believe that in 2014, 2015, and 2013, like, it still could have been the #1 esport if everything, you know, was handled correctly, but it just wasn't. You should play Broodwar if it's announced. Why, lol? Oh, God. I think I hate LOL way less than Broodwar, I think. I can't look at Broodwar. Oh, man, we'll see. I'll play Broodwar or LOL, okay? That's my addendum. I will, if Broodwar HD is announced this weekend at the StarCraft celebration, I will play either Broodwar or League of Legends on stream.